let's continue what we left off in the last video. And you can see I went ahead and continued to clean this up a bit, rerouted every single one of these intersections so that we have the so-called pleat that we're going to grab and pull up along the normal. But now we have a very nice transition and kind of flow between each one of these, and you can see as it starts kind of pinching towards those intersections. So if you hit 3, you can go ahead and see what I'm talking about with the smooth mesh preview. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and grab every single one of these intersections and every single one of the curves that are flowing along this direction. I'm just going to shift and double click. Hold shift, double click 1, and it'll follow that edge loop all the way to the end. And what we're going to do after we do this is we're going to create what's called a selection set. And the reason we're going to do this is because you can see it can become kind of tedious to go in and double click and select the edges every time. And if you know you have a set of edges that you're going to be working consistently with, you can create the selection set and you don't have to select them every single time. Almost here. So once you have these selected, great. Once you have these selected, you can go up to Create, Sets, Quick Select Set. And here you can name it, I'm just going to call this Pleat Set A. I'm going to hit OK. And now when we click off, if we go back to Object Mode, we can go to Edit, Quick Select Sets, Pleat Set A, and you can see now it selects it for us. So this is very handy, and it's something that we're going to use quite a bit. So let's go ahead, and now that we have this selected, let's go and move this up in the Y. If you double click your move tool settings, you can specify the move axis to be the normal average. So we can go ahead and just pull those up. And hit 3 to see what they look like and how far up they are. And that's probably fine. We're not going to need to go much higher than that for now. Make sure you go back to world in your move axis, because you'll forget if you don't do that and you start moving things around. If you forget, then you might not move them in the axis in which you wanted. So great. So we have that set now. And let me turn off the wireframe unshaded just to get a sense of what it kind of looks like right now. That's fine for now. We're going to go ahead and do a couple of other things to this and clean it up a bit. So I'm going to go back to 1. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to edge mode, and I'm going to double click an edge. And it's going to follow the entire way around. If we hit 4 to see the wireframe, it's going to follow the entire way around and select the edge loop until it closes. So I'm going to grab the inner ones as well. Double click those, double click that, and I'm going to do an extrusion. So let's talk about this for a second. We go to Edit Mesh, and if you open the dialog box for Extrude, you can see the Extrude Edge options. You can specify number of divisions. So if we set this to 5 and we hit Extrude, then we get our manipulator with a ring around it that shows us that the command is still active, and if we pull this down, it's going to pull it down along the normal, pulling in the blue, and you can see that it's adding 4 divisions like we specified. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to open Extrude again. Sorry, 5 divisions. So I'm going to keep this at 1, and we don't really need to deal with these right now because we can also change those in the extrusion node. So I'm just going to hit Extrude, and you can see here that the blue is moving it along the normal. If we click on this little icon on the top right of it, then that's going to set it to the center. That's going to set it to the origin. I'm going to go ahead and hit extrude again. And you can see here that the blue is actually going to move it along the normal. So if we pull that down, we're pulling it along the normal. But if we hit W, then we actually go back to our world axis, or whichever axis we have specified here in the tool settings. So with it in the world axis, I'm going to go ahead and just pull it down on the green a bit. Not necessarily any specific amount, I'm just going to pull it down a little bit. And that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the edges of these inner parts here. I'm going to do these one at a time. I'm going to double click the edge. And I'm going to hit R for the scale tool. And I'm just going to scale that in a little bit. Double click that one. Scale it in a bit. I'm actually going to go ahead and extrude it. I'm going to hit extrude. And I'm going to, instead of moving it specific to the extrusion, I'm going to hit W, and then I'm going to hit R for a scale tool. And you can see that it's actually, the extrusion still selected. So it actually created a new set of faces. If I hit G again, it's going to do another extrusion. And you got to be careful that you don't hit this too many times, because you're going to extrude edges on top of themselves. So now that I know that I've hit another extrusion, I'm going to go to the world, which you can do by clicking this one again as well. And I'm going to pull it down. And then I'm going to click the cube, and I'm going to scale it in a bit. And then I'm going to hit G, do another extrusion. I don't want to go along the normal, so I'm going to pick that to specify the world axis. Go down, hit the cube, scale it in one more time. Hit 3 to see what it looks like. That's fine. So I'm going to go back to object mode. And I'm going to double click this edge. I'm going to pull this up a little bit. That's fine. And if we want to tighten any of this up, as I mentioned before, to tighten all this up, we can insert an edge loop tool. So you can come in here. Sorry, I have the, let me open the settings. I have the use equal multiplier. I'm going to go back to relative. And I'm just going to slide one here to tighten this little corner. I'm going to hit G again, slide one up here to tighten this edge here. Hit G one more time. And if you want to make it tighter, you can do that. That's fine for me right now. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to grab the edge. I'm going to hit extrude. I'm going to do it in the world axis. I'm actually going to scale it in. Then I'm going to hit G, extrude one more time. Hit W, or this little blue button here. That's fine. And I'm going to start closing off a few of these. I'm going to bridge across to a few of these here. I'm going to do an append actually. So I'm going to do append to polygon tool from here to here. And if you want to make it less of a wide gap, you can always insert edge loop like so, here and here, and then hit append to polygon tool. See what that starts to look like. And do one here as well. Insert edge loop tool, append to polygon tool. And just start kind of closing some of these areas off here. I'm going to add another one here. And I'm going to go across from this point. I'm actually going to bridge this. Let's introduce a bridge command. So if you select both faces that you want to bridge one to the other from, and let's go to Edit Mesh Bridge and open the dialog box. You have a couple of different options here. One for the linear path, smooth path, and smooth path plus curve. You can specify the number of divisions. So let's just keep the smooth path plus curve selected. And if you hit apply, you see that it's created the bridge with 2 divisions as you specified, but if you hit 4 for wireframe mode, you can see that there's actually a curve that it's given you here. And you can go in and select, let me get out of component mode, and select the curve. You can see the history's linked as it's turning purple. And if you hover over it and hold the right click and select one of the control vertices, you can actually move the bridge based on that curve, which is quite nice. So I'm going to undo that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it with 1 division. I'm actually going to use 0. And sorry, I don't want the curve. I'm just going to do smooth path. And I'm just going to close it. And so then I can come in this position and add insert edge loop tool here, wherever it is that we want one. Do another one here. You can introduce one here, and you could append a polygon tool from one to the other. Great. So, and we're going to add some edges here to make this a bit tighter. I'm going to grab this here. I'm going to scale this in a little bit. Hit G. And just always keep in mind that the extrusions, if you keep hitting extrude, you're going to be extruding on top of themselves, and that's going to cause a lot of problems later on. So just getting a sense of what this starts to look like here. I'm actually going to get rid of this bridge. I'm going to delete this. And you could, a couple of different techniques, you could close this off with append a polygon tool again. Specify one edge and the other. And then go across here, do the same thing. And let's delete the history, edit, delete by type, history, and go back to object mode. I'm just going to append across from here to here. And I'm going to insert edge loop tool here and here. And I'll append these 2 together. Okay. Now I'm going to grab, double click, select that whole edge. And I'm going to extrude that down. Hit G. Same process. Oops, sorry. Scale that down. Same thing for this little guy right here. And this is a triangle here, but it's open, so that's fine, but we're about to extrude it. So I'm going to actually insert an edge loop here, because once we do, then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides instead of 3. I'm going to extrude that. That down a bit. And that's fine. Just trying to get a bit of variability in here. I'm going to grab another one here. Pull this down. One more. And I'm just going to scale that in. And let's do one last one here. Let's do this one here. I'm going to extrude again. scale that in one more time, and that will be it. Okay, so now that we have this kind of amorphous little thing that we have here, let's try to clean up a bit of the kind of, there's some areas that have maybe too much resolution. So let's just go ahead and go to the top view. I'm gonna hit F. And I'm gonna go into edge mode while I'm in 3 into the smooth mesh preview. And I'm gonna double click that edge, and I'm gonna go to delete edge vertex and just start deleting some of the edges that we don't need, removing a bit of the resolution that's not necessary for this example. Of course, you can hit G again for the delete edge vertex, and I'm just double clicking the edge here, just trying to loosen up a little bit of this that's a little bit tight. Here's another one. Probably want to loosen up a bit. Oops, not that one. Let me grab this one here. That seems fine. Yeah, so these are okay. So we can just keep moving from this point. Great. So I'm going to delete history again. I'm going to go back to object mode. Edit, delete by type, history, and I'm gonna, if you hover over the polygon selected and hold shift and hold right click, the bottom right corner here, soften harden edge, you can go to harden edge and it's gonna harden all the edges so that there's not that difference in the normals. And you can hit 3 and it's still fine. I'm gonna actually insert an edge loop right here. Great. So let's go ahead and go back to the perspective view. And I'm going to go into the Hypershade. So go up to Window, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. And you'll get this little window that pops up. And we're not going to talk much about the materials right now. We're just going to use the blends and the Lamberts are two that you can use for visualization purposes. And we're just going to select 2 blends. Just double click both of them. And I'm going to double click on blend 1. And that will pop it up in the attribute editor. So we can change the color by just selecting the color tab next to the color and just specify the color that we want. I'm just going to select this gray. And I'm going to double click on blend 2 and just select the red. Control A to get out of the attribute editor. And I'm going to go to the side elevation, to the side view. And I'm going to select all the faces that are in the lower half here, making sure that I don't have any of the top ones selected. And you can put these in a selection set. So we'll go to Create, Sets, Quick Select Sets, Lower Faces. Sure. Now I'm going to assign the red blend to these. So I'm just going to hover over blend 2 and hold right click and go to Assign Material to Selected. And then I'm going to shift marquee over the entire thing, which is going to invert the selection. And I'm going to assign this dark gray blend to the top. Cool. Go back to object mode. Great. So you notice that we have, let me turn on the wireframe unshaded. You notice we have these edges here that got kinked, basically moved up with this selection set that we had initially for the pleats. So I'm going to show you a little trick to fix this. So I'm going to hover over and go to edge mode, double click the edge, which will select the edge all the way around. And I'm going to go to scale, and I'm going to hold D to access the pivot and V for the vertex snap, and I'm just going to snap to this corner here. And I'm going to grab the top of the scale manipulator, and I'm going to just drag it down to the blue, and I'm going to keep doing that a couple of times. And that's just going to flatten all of them to that position. Great. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to mirror this, and we want to combine it and merge it with its mirrored counterpart. So I'm going to move the pivot position, D and V, to this point here. And I'm going to go up to Mesh, Mirror Geometry, and let's open the dialog box here. So for the mirror options, it asks you for the directions and whether or not you want to merge with the original. We're not going to merge with the original just to show the process of merging it without doing this. And the axis we want to go to is we want to mirror along the X in the negative direction. So I'm going to hit Apply. And you noticed, let me open the outliner. Undo that. So we have poly surface here, and when I redo the mirror, we now have the same poly surface 6, but it's been combined. It's not merged, and you can tell because if you hit 3, you can see that they look like they're together, and when you selected they're together, and they're actually combined. But if you hover over this edge here, I'm just going to select this vertex and hit F to focus it. You can not only see that there's faces on the inside, but if we go up to display, make sure that your heads up display for poly count is turned on. And if we marquee over this corner, you can see that there's actually 2 vertices here. So for us to merge this, if we were to merge this right now, we wouldn't want to do that, because even though we could merge these vertices, you have these faces on the interior that are going to be sharing this entire edge, and that's going to create non-manifold geometry, which is going to give us a lot of problems down the line. So what you need to do is you can just hit 3, and you can go to the faces and marquee over all of these, and hold Control and deselect the set that is on the outside, and then just delete the inner ones. So now that we've gotten rid of the faces on the interior, we need to now merge this entire piece here. So we looked at merge to center and merge vertex. The one that we want to look at now is called merge. And if you open the dialog box under edit mesh, you can see that there's a threshold that it always merges 2 vertices if you specify within that threshold. So right now, if we just did apply, you could see that it would merge these, but this is beyond this threshold. So if I change it to 0.3 and hit apply, you can see that now it's merged all these together. And you can tell if you hit 3, now you have a seamless transition between these. So this is very important when you start smoothing geometry. You have to combine it properly, and you have to start to make sure that you don't have any faces that are between them. Great. So now that we have this merged together, let's see what it looks like when we hit 3. Turn off the wireframe unshaded.